Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Nahmaduhu wa nusalli ala Rasul Kareem. So we discussed so far, we're discussing the sifat of Salah, we're discussing the hukam of the different aspects. We discussed about the takbir tahrima, which according to us was a shart. Then we discussed the dua, you read subhanaka Allahumma wa bihamdika wa tabarak asmuka wa ta'ala jadduka wa la ilaha ghayruk. We discussed what should be read and what shouldn't be read. We discussed it in detail. So it is the takbir tahrima, then it is the sana, subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika. The next thing what you will do is وَيَسْتَعِيذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. He will seek protection in Allah Ta'ala from the accursed shaitan. وَيَسْتَعِيذُ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ. Why? لِقَوْلِهِ ta'ala, because Allah Ta'ala says in the Quran, فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. That when you recite the Quran, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ, then seek protection in Allah Ta'ala from the curse by shaitan. So now, after you recited your sana, what are you going to do now? After you recited your sana, what are you going to do now? Now you're going to start reciting the Quran, and from the which is Surah Fatiha, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. And we know here from the Quran, we see from the adab and the etiquette of reciting the Quran is you must make what we call ta'awud, seek protection in Allah Ta'ala, right? So he says, فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ, right? فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ مِنَ الشَّيْطَانِ الرَّجِيمِ. So what does this verse mean here? فَإِذَا قَرَأْتَ الْقُرْآنَ فَاسْتَعِذْ بِاللَّهِ means, وَمَعْنَاهُ is meaning قِرَاءَةَ الْقُرْآنِ. When you wish to read the Quran, right? Then first start by saying, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, right? So, والأولى, one opinion is أن يقول, he must say أستعيذ بالله يوافق القرآن. You mustn't say أعوذ بالله, you must say أستعيذ. استعاذ يستعيذ. Why? We see the Quran's word is فاستعيذ. What? What's the Quran word? استعاذ يستعيذ. There's an istaf ala scale. So they say here that your scale must coincide with the scale of the Quran. So instead of saying A'adha yu'idu or A'adha ya'udhu, which means A'udhu, right? You must say Asta'idhu. So make your scale coincide with what is in the Quran. You understood it? So say, Wal awla ayakula Asta'idhu billahi. Instead of saying like how we say A'udhu billah, A'udhu billahi min ash-shaytan rajim. Say Asta'idhu billah. And why should you do this? لِيُوَافِقَ الْقُرْآنَ. So it must coincide with the exact word and the exact sigha of the Quran. You understood? We say Ada ya'udhu, a'udhu, right? That's how we normally read. And the Quran says Ista'adha yasta'idhu. So use that scale, right? And they say وَيَقْرُبُ مِنْهُ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ. And like how we recite أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ, it is a close scale. It has the same meaning, right? So there it suggests that you should rather say Asta'idhu billah instead of saying A'udhu. Rather say Asta'idhu instead of saying A'udhu. Right. Next is in the next discussion is this ثُمَّ التَّعَوُّذُ تَبَأٌ لِلْقِرَاءَةِ دُونَ ثَنَائِهِ. Is A'udhu billah part of the thana or is it part of the qira'at? Is it part of the sana, part of the qira'at? Why does this make a difference? I'll tell you how it makes a difference. If we say it's part of the thana, right? That means, like in Eid Namaz, after you make the thana, you recite your 3 takbirat. It means you recite the thana and you recite the ta'ud. But if we say, according to what is mentioned here in the kitab, it's better to say, huh? I don't know. What actually Yeah, وَيَقْرُبُ. And that means يَقْرُبُ min أَعُوذُ. أَعُوذُ is similar to that in meaning. So you can suffice with it.
But not on a daily basis. And also I need to check what it because we don't really want to see something which can be carcinogenic and with heavy preservative so that
Right.
they have a
وَيَقْرُبُ مِنْ أَعُوذُ بِاللَّهِ. So we say here that the ta'awudh is a follow-up of or it is a link to what? It is linked towards the qira'at. So that means if you're going to, like, if the Ma'ad is going to write, and you're going to recite Sana, then you're going to make the takbirat. Then before you start the qira'at, then you will say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, right? ثم التعوذ تبعا للقراءة دون الثناء عند أبي حنيفة ومحمد لما تلون. Why? What's the proof? The proof is إذا قرأت القرآن فاستعذ بالله. When you wish to read the Quran, now you recite the ta'awuz. Before that, you don't recite it. You understood that? So, لما حتى يأتي به المسبوق. And another proof is that حتى يأتي به المسبوق دون المقتدي. That the masbuq will recite it, not the muqtadi. What is saying here? A masbuq is the one who must, right? So he has to fill in the maskirat, right? So when he fills in the maskirat, he's going to say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. So that shows you it is part of the qiraat, you understood? And if a muqtadi comes, he don't have to recite it. Why? Because he's not making qiraat. You understand what I'm saying? So that shows you, because he's not making qiraat, he don't have to recite the awz. That shows you that the awz is part of the qiraat, is not part of the sana. You understood that? And like if you must, like first rakat, for example, right? Now you have to fill in that first rakat. So you must the qiraat in the first rakat, isn't it? So when you fill in the rakat, you're going to say, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين الرحمن الرحيم مالك يوم الدين. So that's the fact that you're going to recite it before you recite the Surah Fatiha, and before you recite the Surah, shows you it is part of the qiraat, is not part of the sana. You understood it? حتى يأتي بالمسبوق دون المقتدي, right? See also, وَيُؤَخِّرُ عَنْ تَكْبِيرَاتِ الْعِيدِ. You will delay it from the takbirat of Eid. That means I told you, you won't recite it before the takbirat of Eid because it's not part of the sana. It's part of the qiraat. وَيُؤَخِّرُ عَنْ تَكْبِيرَاتِ الْعِيدِ خِلَافًا لِأَبِي Yusuf. And this is contrary to Imam Abu Yusuf. Why? What Imam Abu Yusuf says? Imam Abu Yusuf says, no, it is part of the sana. So you recite with the sana, right? And then you make the takbirat, right? And after the takbirat, then you will read the next ibarat.
ويقرأ بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم هكذا نقل في المشاهير.
ويقرأ. So after you recite أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم, now this is obviously referred to the imam, right? Or if you are reading namaz on your own, the munfarid, right? And this obviously would refer to the ladies by the house because they are their own imams, they are reciting on their own. Yes, if they happen to be reading with their husbands or they're following some imam, etc., then obviously they because they're not making qiraat, because the qiraat of the imam is qiraat for them, so then they don't have to recite, right? So for a lady leading namaz on her own and by the house, this masla is applicable. Or for a man reading in his own, what we term as a munfarid, or if a person is an imam, right? So because the imam will be doing the qiraat and the munfarid, the person reading on their own, they will be doing the qiraat, right? So وَيَقْرَأُ بِسْمِ اللَّهِ الرَّحْمَنِ الرَّحِيمِ. Then you will recite Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. هَكَذَا نُقِلَ فِي الْمَشَاهِيرِ. This is how it has been narrated in the famous hadith. That the way when you say mashahir, I mean the famous authentic hadith like in Bukhari, Muslim, Tirmidhi, Sharif, etc., etc. Right? Carry on.
ويسر بهما لقول ابن مسعود أرض عن كفهن الإمام. وذكروا من جملتها التعوذ والتسمية وأمين. وقال الشافعي رحمه الله يجهر بالتسمية عند الجهر بالقراءة لما روي أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم جهر في صلاته بالتسمية. قلنا هو محمول على التعليم لأن أنسا رضي الله عنه أخبر أنه عليه السلام كان لا يجهر بها. ومع أبي حنيفة.
Right. So now we established this much, that you will recite the Sana, then you recite the Ta'awudh, then you recite the Basmala. But the question comes about now, the Ta'awudh that's saying A'udhu Billah or Asta'idhu and reciting Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, will you recite it loud or softly? So obviously in a soft namaz, because you're reading the Qira'at soft, you also recite it softly. So there it's not a big issue, right? But the loud salah, where you got the Imam especially, the Imam is reciting. So while you sirru bihima, so even though it's a loud salah, we term as a jahri salah, right? While you sirru bihima, you will make it silent even in a jahri salah. Why? لقول ابن مسعود, because we got the opinion of Ibn Mas'ud. You must remember, when there's ikhtilaf amongst the Sahaba Ikram, Hanafi madhab mostly goes to Ibn Mas'ud, because Ibn Mas'ud was considered to be among the fuqaha. Ibn Mas'ud was considered to be among the jurists of this ummah, right? So, وَيُسِرُّ بِهِمَا, so according to Hanafi madhab, even though you are reading loud salah like the Imam, or you're reading alone your salah, and you're reading, remember if you're reading alone for a man, and it's a loud salah, then you got a choice of reading it loud or soft, nah? Right? Obviously, a lady have to read loud just that she can hear herself. And even say serious salah, and there you have to read it soft also. You always think about the loud salah for a man. He has a choice to read it loud or soft. But if he's an imam and it's a loud salah, like how you get Maghrib, Isha, Fajr, then there is no choice. You must read it loud. The person next to him must be able to hear, right? So, وَيُسِرُّ بِهِمَا, he will يُسِرُّ, recite them too softly, was a proof لقول ابن مسعود, because of the statement of Ibn Mas'ud, أربع, four things, يخفيهن الإمام, the Imam will make them silently. وذكر من جملتها, and he mentioned from the four things, what he mentioned, التعوذ, the ta'awuz, والتسمية, and the tasmiyah is to recite Bismillah, وآمين, and Ameen must be recited softly. وقال الشافعي, الإمام Shafi says, يجهر بالتسمية عند الجهر بالقراءة, that you will make loud. So according to Shafi madhab, you won't say أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم loud, you just say Bismillah loud, right? So according to يجهر بالتسمية, you will make loud the tasmiyah عند الجهر بالقراءة, when he is in the jahri making loud the qiraat, those salawat that are loud, you will recite the tasmiyah loud, right? In the jahri bil qiraati. And what is true? لما روي, because of what has been narrated, أن النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, that Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم جهر في صلاته بالتسمية. There's a clear riwayat which says that Nabi صلى الله عليه وسلم was loud in his salah with the tasmiyah. What's our answer? We say there are many other riwayat which suggest that Nabi sallallahu made the tasmiyah soft. So perhaps in the beginning of Islam, he recited loud so people can hear. Or also sometimes, if you're standing very, very close to the Imam, right? Then even the thing that is reciting softly, you can hear what he's reciting. Understood? قلنا هو محمول على التعليم. We say no, هو محمول. Thus is taken upon ta'lim, that maybe in the initial stage of Islam, Nabi Sallallahu will recite the Bismillah loud just so that the Sahaba could hear. Right? لأن أنسا, what's our proof to say that Nabi Sallallahu never recited loud? Because Hazrat Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, لأن أنسا أخبر, he informs أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم كان لا يجهر بهما. The Nabi Sallallahu didn't read it loud. That's also another thing I want to show you here. When there's a fi'li hadith and a qawli hadith, right? You give preference to the what? You give preference to the preference to the qawli hadith. Okay, sorry, I made a mistake. That doesn't apply here. But both are fairly hadith here. There's a different principle. Okay, I'll explain that to you at another time. It's not relevant here. I made a mistake, sorry there. But yeah, both are fairly hadith. One is you got lima riwayat an Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam and Jahara bit. They don't say who's the rawi there. They just say the Nabi Sallallahu make it loud, right? So we say that it was loud because you want to do ta'liman, or maybe it was in the initial stage of Islam, right? The anna nasan, right? Then we got the riwayat of Anas. Anna Anasan أخبره informed أنه صلى الله عليه وسلم كان لا يجهر بهما. He never used to be loud, right? ثم عن أبي حنيفة, right? Then it's also narrated on Imam Abu Hanifa أنه لا يأتي بها في أول ركعة كالتأوذ. That he, يعني the musalli or the imam, لا يأتي بها, he will not bring it, he will recite it بها in it في أول كل ركعة كالتأوذ. That was like if we speak about the imam here, because only the imam makes qiraat, or the munfarid, the person who's reading alone. And this also here would appear to a woman reading, who's not generally the woman read alone. The husbands are in the masjid most of the time. Yes, if the husband is reading with them, then obviously they don't make qiraat, and the qiraat of the husband is the qiraat for them, right? So this primarily refers to the imam or a munfarid, whether it's a man or a woman. So according to one opinion, they're saying, لا يأتي بها في أول كل ركعة. You don't have to recite Bismillah in every rakat. Once you recite it in the first rakat, that's sufficient. Once you recite in the first rakat, that it is sufficient. You don't have to recite it again after that. You understood it? أنه لا يأتي بها في أول كل ركعة تأوذ. So like he's saying, in the first rakat, you recite ta'awudh and Bismillah. Then in the second rakat, you just stand up and say, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. So this refer to the Imam and the Munfarid, and I think will refer to anybody reading the Salah alone, whether it's a man or the woman, right? But, وَأَنُهُ, also narrated from Imam Abu Hanifa, يَأْتِي بِهَا إِحْتِيَاطًا. It's better to recite Bismillah at the beginning of every rakat before you start your Surah Fatiha. See? Loud. وهو روايتنا. Okay, after which one is that? وعنه. Yeah. So it says here. So that would mean that it's Imam Abu Hanifa's opinion and Imam Abu Yusuf's opinion that yes, you must recite Bismillah at the beginning of every rakat. And the fatwa is on this. That's how we were taught. You recite Bismillahir Rahman. So second rakat, you say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. You recite Surah Fatiha. Then even before your surah, you say Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Qul huwa Allahu ahad. Right. وأنه أنه يأتي بها احتياطا. Right. وهو قولهما. And this is the statement of both Imam Abu Hanifa and Imam Yusuf. Right. Then ولا يأتي بها بين السورة والفاتحة. Then this, he says that after you finish your Surah Fatiha, and now you understand, start your surah, وَلَا يَأْتِي بِهَا بَيْنَ السُّورَةِ وَالْفَاتِحَةِ. You will not recite it. You will not recite it between the surah and the Fatiha. إِلَّا إِنَّ أَبِيحَ مُحَمَّدٍ. Except, so according to Imam Muhammad, إِنَّ مُحَمَّدٍ فَإِنَّ يَأْتِي بِهَا فِي صَلَاةٍ. Right, so now we know, we were taught also that after Surah Fatiha, you will recite the Bismillah also, right? So you see the fatwa here is upon the call of who? Imam Muhammad, right? Ila Muhammad rahmatullah, فَإِنَّ يَأْتِي بِهَا. So you will bring it, you will recite it, biha fi salatil mukhafatati, in the silent salahs also, right? Okay, let's stop there. We can put it in, we'll switch over to the tafsir now, inshallah. Can you remember where we stopped?
They are busy with their responsibilities.